Looking for a college that feels like home and opens doors? Welcome to St. Cloud State, where Huskies come from all walks of life to chase big dreams. From small-town Minnesota to across the globe, SCSU is a place where everyone belongs. Whether you're into esports, student orgs, or cheering at D1 hockey games, there's always something happening on campus. And the best part? It's affordable, so you can focus on your future, not your finances. Come see it for yourself. Schedule your campus tour at St. Cloud State University, the home of the Huskies. Let's go Huskies!
What you are about to hear will blow your mind and give you six-pack abs without even exercising.
Pull up a bar stool and relax.
Hey, who wants to have some fun?
You've made it to Happy Hour with John Gaskins.
Oh, no. Not again.
Get ready for entertaining local and regional sports talk that will change your life, or not.
And by the way, when you're telling these little stories, here's a good idea. Have a point. It makes it so much more interesting for the listener.
Here's your host, John Gaskins.
Here's Johnny. Hello! Ah! I'm back, baby! I'm back!
Happy hour on a Tuesday, which feels like a Monday because we had a holiday. Hope you enjoyed Memorial Day, honored in some way all the great men and women who died for our country and our freedom, and I certainly do hope you had a blast with family and friends wherever you were. We had some big thunderstorms, but we had some pretty awesome summer weather as well. So lake, boat, golf course, bird cage. I was at some baseball games for the Canaries. Played 2 rounds of golf, poorly by the way, but enjoyed the hell out of it. And we got a couple of more local championships. It's just what we do in Sioux Falls in South Dakota. Rob Bishop, Jackrabbit baseball coach, been there a decade, won his first Summit League title over the weekend. He's off to Nebraska in the NCAA tournament. A wonderful guy, 40 minutes telling the story of his program and why this was the team that broke through against Oral Roberts, the 800-pound gorilla of the Summit League. So look forward to Rob today. And look, it was just 2 weeks ago, USD softball, Augie baseball. They won their league tournaments. 2 weeks later, it's the Jacks, then the Sioux Falls Stampede winning the Clark Cup, which I'll get to in a moment, and SDSU baseball in its first big dance in 13 years. And the Jacks, like the Yotes, they're in the NCAA tournament with a below 500 record. And like the Yotes, they're going to play at Nebraska. Both Husker baseball and softball teams have their best squads in over a decade. A lot of national eyes on Lincoln. USD 2 weeks ago, they had the big Shannon Pivovar viral moment, and we'll see what kind of things the Jacks can do on the big stage. But wow. A Summit League and Northern Sun Conference sweep for our Division I and Division II Diamond teams. Both baseball, both softball. And of the 4 teams, only one had a winning record in the regular season, Augie baseball. So all we do is win, 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 no matter what the regular season record was. We win when it counts the most, and that's in May here in South Dakota, baby. And meanwhile, up in Michigan on Saturday night, the Sioux Falls Stampede were playing for a USHL title in a best-of-5 series. They were up 2-0 going into Friday night's Game 3. They smoked Muskegon twice in Sioux Falls. Then they blow a 2-goal lead with 4 minutes left on Friday in Muskegon. They could have captured the cup. They blew it. Then they go to double overtime Saturday night, trying to prevent a winner-take-all Game 5 in Sioux Falls that would be tonight, Tuesday. But in the second overtime, well, we'll let the 20-year voice of the Herd and the team, President Jimmy Olander, do the honors.
Flipped in the air, and it's knocked away by Betzold. Here's Vukas, shot, tip, save, rebound, knocked away, it comes free. Another save by Feldberg. What a save! A tremendous glove save. He was on the ice, and here come the Herd. Macrina along with Schultz, 2-on-1. Macrina shoots, he scores! He scores! He scores! Joey Macrina, the overtime winner! and the Stampede are Clark Cup champions! Yeah, baby!
Man, how perfect was that call? You will not find a more authentic, on the spot, capturing the moment, championship winning goal in the NHL this year or ever. I mean, that's as good as it gets with a home team announcer calling a championship. And it wasn't just that the Herd, that they won, that makes this championship story captivating and thrilling. It is how they did it. They did it with a bunch of players that a Long Island tough guy, Ryan Cruthers, recruited and wanted to be in his tough guy, blue-collar, chip-on-the-shoulder mold. A bunch of dogs. That's dogs with D-A-W-G-S, including a bunch of players who were cut by other teams, and that includes Joey Macrina, who scored that game-winning goal. And Cruthers called these guys dogs after they won Game 2 in Sioux Falls after the game. I had a chance to talk to him. Called them a bunch of blue-collar dogs, the kind of group that was offered a plane flight to Muskegon. The owners offered them to fly, and the players rejected the offer. They said, nope, we won't have any of this. We want to take the 12-hour bus ride like we always do because we're dogs. And it's one thing to talk tough. It's another thing to be tough. And the Herd did it time and again. Sports and life are about how you respond when the other guy punches you in the mouth or has you on the ropes. It's cliched. It's been played out in movies 1,000 times, but it's all so very true. Cliches ring true. That's why they are cliches. And you can make a lot of boxing references. Mike Tyson says everybody has a great plan until they get punched in the mouth. And boy, were the Herd punched in the mouth time and again in the playoffs. First series was against Lincoln, and they were down 2-1 on the brink of elimination in Game 3, and they blasted the Stars 6-2. And then they needed to win Game 4 again on the road just to force a Game 5 at home. Yeah, they won the last 2 games in convincing fashion. Then they move on to their conference finals series against Fargo. Same thing. They're down 2-1 after a crushing 3-overtime loss to Fargo. And so they needed to win both Game 4 on the road and Game 5 at home again. And they won each of those last 2 games by 1 goal. In overtime in Fargo to force a Game 5 in Sioux Falls. They trailed 2-1 late in the second period in Game 5. They scored the tying goal with under 2 minutes left in the second, the winning goal with just over 2 minutes left in regulation. Backs against the wall, they squirm out of it and punch back and make the championship series. And then this time, they almost scored a complete TKO. I mean, they got up 2-0 and 3-0, 3-1, easy peasy. They're up 2 goals with 4 minutes to play in Game 3 on the road in Michigan on Friday night. The cup was sitting right there. They could taste it, the champagne or whatever the 16 to 19-year-olds drink. The milk, I don't know. It was Indianapolis 500 over the weekend. Maybe it was milk. I don't know. But whatever they had to celebrate with, it was all on ice and ready to go. They could smell it, and then they give up 2 goals in the final 4 minutes, and then they lost in double overtime. So another Game 3 loss in a playoff series. This one might have been the biggest gut punch. It didn't put them on the brink of elimination, but imagine the mentality, the roller coaster. You almost had it. Then you lost it. And then you got to go right back into the snake pit in Muskegon the very next night. You're absolutely winded, exhausted, smothered, crushed by that defeat. And you got to go back the next night in Game 4 and win that game to prevent a winner-take-all Game 5 in Sioux Falls again. And it would have been understandable if they would have lost that game 3 or 4-0. But instead, it's just a back-and-forth, haymaker exchanging prize fight. And again, they could taste the cup. And again, I'm not going to say they blew it, but they gave up a goal with under 2 minutes left that forced overtime. And then neither team could score in that, so they go to double overtime. And then the Herd get the winning goal in overtime. So time after time, elimination games. They were 4-0 in the playoffs in elimination games. Overtime games. Double and triple overtime games. Games after the next day, after they lost in devastating fashion. Thrown up against the wall, they just kept coming and throwing punches. And just how perfect was the knockout? That sequence to win it all in those last 15 seconds. Perfect and fitting for a season full of insane things that happened on their way to the cup. And so many things did. But those last 15 seconds captures the story of the 2026 Herd, the fourth Sioux Falls team to win a cup, the first in 7 years. Those last 15 seconds, man, it's going to play forever in Sioux Falls sports lore. 2 saves by Lenard's Feldsberg and the breakaway goal by Joey Macrina to win it. It was so Sioux Falls Stampede 2026. So let's take you back there. The best goalie in the league, Lenard's Feldbergs, saves the game on a save most goalies would not pull off in the sport at any level. He had just made a save on a point-blank tip and had to sprawl headfirst on the ice to make that save. He's got his legs on. He's doing the splits. Lenard's is doing the splits. The ball rebounds right back to a lumberjack who had a dead-on, wide-open shot to win it. Lenard's is on the splits. He can't protect the whole goal. If this thing gets a little airborne, it goes right over his shoulder. I mean, I am no Barry Melrose or Don Cherry, okay? I don't watch much hockey, but boy, I learned a lot in these 15 seconds, and so much of it can be applied to football, basketball, any sport. I'm guessing a lot of cases, that rebound shot goes in. The goalie is doing a split after just making a save. His legs are in opposite directions. He's on the ice, having just gotten up from a diving save, and instead, puts his glove up there and catches the puck. Most cases, that's game over. Not when you're the Sioux Falls Stampede 2026 and Lenard's Feldbergs is your goalie. And it was just getting started from there. I mean, you heard Jimmy O yell, "What a save! What a tremendous save!" Jimmy's been doing this for 20 years. He has called 3 Clark Cup titles. He does not go willy-nilly on plays he calls tremendous and raises his voice for. It was a tremendous save. I was watching this at the Birdcage with a couple dozen Canaries fans who are also Stampede fans. We're watching it on the big board. I'm in the control room for the big board with the 3 people from our tech crew, and we were going bonkers over that save. And immediately we're going, okay, go, you have the puck now. I mean, it wasn't just a save. The Canaries got the puck right back. After Feldsberg's twice averted disaster, everything now happens so fast. Because after that second save, Brock Schultz dives in front of the Muskegon player who had just flinged the second shot that Lenard's saved. Schultz lays out to prevent the puck from coming back to that guy so he can hit another shot at Feldsberg's, who again is laid out on the ice. You got at least a half-empty net there to shoot it into. But the puck never gets to that guy because Schultz lays out. 3 shots in 10 seconds may have been too much for Lenard's, but instead, Schultz dives, hits the ice head first with his stick in front of him, and then he passes the puck to Joey Macrina. Now, Macrina had been behind both of these guys when Feldsberg's made that second save. He had the wherewithal to skate his way into the perfect spot where Schultz had just dove and hit the puck with his stick and also passed it to Macrina. And Macrina wasn't just standing there ready for the puck. This was like in football, when a quarterback passes a receiver open. Okay, Curtis Riggs says it all the time. The next level quarterbacks throw the ball into the spot where the receiver is going to be and in a spot where the defender can't grab it. He doesn't wait for the receiver to get open. He throws the receiver open. And when he hits the pass, that makes for a big gain, maybe a touchdown. So Schultz, whether he is trying to or not, and I watched this play back a million times, but I believe these guys, through 74 games, the Stampede, have the kind of chemistry where Schultz is making a diving play to prevent another lumberjack shot. And through 60 regular season and 14 postseason games, by now you have some chemistry. And Schultz not only makes the uber athletic dive, he simultaneously lunges and passes the puck to a spot where Macrina is going to be. He passed Macrina open. He anticipated Macrina would be there. And Macrina comes skating and makes the turn to get the puck. He goes to where the puck is going to be, not where the puck is. Macrina was already hustling, skating around Schultz, skating around one lumberjack. And now Macrina is reversing direction. This is all happening within 3 seconds. Bang, bang, bang. The save, the Schultz dive, the pass, Macrina's ready. And he's turning direction. This is where you really appreciate the athleticism these hockey players have on skates. Macrina's changing course from going toward the net to the other way around, where he is hoping to start a fast break toward a goal. And he just flat out wins the battle for the puck, and then he's off to the races, and now he's Barry Sanders or Adrian Peterson in the open field. Most of these players from both of these teams are near the goal where Feldsberg's made the save, where the action was. Macrina now has to beat just 2 guys. He jukes and gets past the first guy. He just broke this guy's ankles, a la Barry Sanders. And now Schultz is all of a sudden up from having just made a sensational dive to pass the puck to Macrina. And Schultz springs up when Macrina starts his break, jukes the first guy. Now it's a 2-on-1 break. Macrina and Schultz. It's Stockton and Malone on a breakaway. And there's one guy to beat. And he has no chance. You have one guy to beat plus the goalie. Macrina makes the defender guess if he's going to pass it to Schultz or not. Macrina keeps it. He fires it past the goalie. Game over. Herd win the cup. All of this. The 2 Feldsberg saves. The Schultz layout. The pass to Macrina, who won the puck battle and then broke away. It all happens in 5 seconds. The whole entire sequence is 15 seconds. And Feldsberg's, who had all kinds of absurd freak saves all season, all playoffs long, those are the final 2 of his 41 saves in the final game. And he may have saved the best for last. This is a snapshot of the Stampede in 2026. Best goalie in the league, clutch goalie in the playoffs. He won 44 of the Herd's 51 wins. He refused to be taken out of any game in the playoffs. Unbelievable stamina, durability, and clutch goal saving. And Macrina, a guy who was cut by Fargo, maybe the shortest guy in the league. He scored the game-winning goal to beat Fargo in Game 5 just to get to the finals, and he scores in double overtime on the series and Clark Cup clinching goal. Shortest guy, cut, blue collar, tough, beats his old team that cut him, and then wins it on the breakaway to hoist the cup. An amazing play. And then an incredible celebration. Macrina just flings his gloves off and his helmet off, finds the first guy that's ready to let him jump in his arms and hug him. The team has already mobbed Feldsberg's. And then Macrina goes to join everybody else. And I'm sure you've seen some of the social media videos the Herd posted celebrating on the ice. Ryan Cruthers, the head coach, this is a man whose 11-year-old son was heckled by Muskegon fans. 11 years old. Heckled by Muskegon's former players, according to Cruthers. And the 11-year-old got to hoist the Clark Cup after a bunch of the Herd did. Just how sweet it was for a lot of guys who were cut by other teams, who Ryan Cruthers wanted to be on this team. And you hate to make comparisons to the movies, but we remember the Miracle on Ice about the greatest hockey story, maybe the best sports story ever told about the 1980 gold medal USA team. And we remember how not just the moment they beat the Russians and how they did it, but how and why the players on that team were the players on that team going back to the start of the movie. And Herb Brooks chose his type of guys tough guys, blue collar guys, chip on shoulder guys. He passed on some of the prettier players, some prima donnas. He wanted guys who he knew could handle him and everything that came at them. That's what Ryan Cruthers is and wanted. Cruthers was a guy that grew up in Long Island. When you grew up in Long Island, in the scope of New York, when you've got Manhattan and Brooklyn and Queens and Long Island over here, you're the forgotten ones. You're New York Islanders fans. You're on that island over there. You're on the outside looking in of the Big Apple. And you got that chip. And you got to be tough. And that's what Ryan Cruthers wanted. That's the roster he assembled. And they played like it all season. And at every twist and turn, when they were taken by the collar and shoved up against a concrete wall, they survived and punched back and got out of it and hoisted a cup. And hats off to Cruthers and Tony Gasparini, who put together the team, and Cruthers' longtime loyal right-hand man assistant. This was something out of a movie. But those 15 seconds that clinched it, the one that's going to be played over and over again, that's going to be what you're going to remember. Everyone remembers Al Michaels, Do You Believe in Miracles? Yes. And you're going to remember Jimmy Olander bellowing at the Felsberg save and the Macrina breakaway, and just the perfect people and the perfect way to win it all. And the celebration said a lot as well, just how much these guys truly loved each other. Being tough, having a chip on your shoulder, loving one another, being a family, having a culture. These are all buzzwords that, again, are all cliches in sports that we roll our eyes out. But most teams that win a championship possess all of them and then show it. That is what the Stampede did. Hats off to them. And we will chat with their head coach, Ryan Cruthers, and Jimmy O himself tomorrow.